Monave Mineral Cosmetics has everything you need to find that perfect shade of makeup for your skin.
My name is Deborah Bilizikian, and I manufacture natural cosmetics and sell them on the internet and sell them in my store in Baltimore. The name of my business is Monave Mineral Cosmetics. I actually take pigments and raw materials and I form cosmetic pigments out of those by blending them together. I make lipsticks by hand. I make other types of products, glosses, anything that a woman needs for cosmetics, but I use it using only a natural ingredient. We make handmade lipsticks here at Monave, and what that means is that we create a pigment blend using raw materials. So to make a pigment blend, I'm going to use a few of these pigments here and put them in the grinder to create a nice color. So the first pigment that I'm going to use is called maroon iron oxide, and it's a deep burgundy type pigment. It's a great base, adds a nice texture. Then to soften it up a little, I'm going to use a mica pigment called copper fine and add a little bit of that to the blend. And then to give it some interest, I'm going to add a little bit of a color called Splendid Red, which is a beautiful pink undertone color that's going to add some frost and some interest and some depth to the shade. So we're just going to work with those three pigments, and then we're going to grind them up for about a minute to make sure there's a uniform color throughout. Okay, now we're going to take the top off and we'll see the beautiful color that we just made. And that's a beautiful deep burgundy with a copper undertone that's perfect for someone with darker skin tone. Once we have a powdered blend, we use an organic lipstick base made with oils and waxes such as beeswax or apricot kernel oil that's made ahead of time. And we're going to melt a little bit of that down. First we need to weigh it so that we get just the right amount. So we're going to scoop some of the pigment, some of the lipstick base right into the measuring cup and make sure it's about 10 grams. We have a little bit of extra after we fill the tube. And then we're going to melt it in the microwave for about a minute. We're heating the lipstick base in the microwave, but I have to be very careful not to overheat it, because if it's overheated, it pours too fast into the mold. Some people prefer to use a traditional pot on a stove, like a water bath, baño de Maria they call it, so that they're not using a microwave, since microwaves for some people are a concern. Okay, now I'm going to check it. It's nicely melted, it's not overheated, so it's ready to pour into the mold. Now that our lipstick base is melted, we're going to add some of the pigment to it. We want to add at least 2 scoops so that it's nice and pigmented and will really show up on a woman's lips. Then we stir the pigment right into the melted base. We have to do this fairly quickly because this base is going to harden fast. It's designed to harden fast. It has natural waxes in it that harden quickly in the mold. Then we take our lipstick mold. This is a professional lipstick mold, and we're going to pour the melted base right into the holes, and we're going to let it cool. Okay, now I believe it's hardened. We've given it a couple minutes, so I'm going to open the mold. First I open the top layer, and I very gently pull it off, which is not very easy to do. And then we've got our lipsticks ready for our tube. So we take an empty lipstick tube, push it up, and very carefully push it down over the lipstick that we've made. And then the final step is to swing out the bottom half of the mold. And once it comes apart, you have a beautiful, professional looking molded lipstick, but it's made by hand. Now I'm going to make loose mineral foundation using all of the pigments that you see here, and I'm going to start with titanium dioxide and use this to measure it out. This is titanium dioxide, and it's a cosmetic grade pigment that we use to make cosmetics. It's not the kind of pigment that you use to make paints. There are 2 different kinds. Cosmetic grade has been purified so that it's safe for application on human skin. Okay, so we have a little bit too much. We're going to take a little bit out. So we're going to get it just to the percentage that we need. All Alright, then we're going to put that into the Cuisinart. We're using a Cuisinart to make a small batch. We have large professional blenders for bigger batches. Now we're going to add zinc oxide, which is a sunscreen and an anti-inflammatory. It's a natural mineral. And we're putting in 57 grams. So it's a very exacting formula. Okay, 2 more grams and we're ready to go. We're going to add it to the blender. Alright, now those are the bases. Now we need to add some color. So our next pigment is yellow iron oxide. This is a very important pigment for mineral foundation because when you're trying to achieve skin tone, you do need something that has some yellows and warm tones to it. Okay, we need 10 more grams. Okay, so now we're going to add the yellow iron oxide to the blender. And now we need to add some red iron oxide. Red iron oxide is made out of iron salts. They come straight from the ground and they're purified to take out heavy metals and toxins, any impurities that might be in the natural minerals that surround the iron oxide. And we're going to add that to the blender. And then our last pigment is ultramarine blue. And this is a pigment made out of clay, and it's heated to very high temperatures to create the vivid color that you see. It's a natural process that was invented by the Egyptians, and it's used today when you put a clay pot in a kiln. That's how you get those vivid colors, is with heat. Okay, we're going to add that to the blender. And we're ready to turn it on. Now we're going to take the top, same way you do when you're cooking at home. Just click it on, and it has to blend for at least 20 minutes for all of the pigments to disperse. So this is our finished product, and I'm checking the texture. It's very smooth and uniform. There's no pigments that haven't been blended in. And this is our loose mineral foundation. And for the consumer, we package it in an elegant black jar, and they can dip right in there as they apply their makeup. The ingredients that I use come from all over the world. The mica could be harvested from India. It could be mined in South Africa. Some of the pigments come from here in the US. Some of them are processed in Germany, and then I buy them here in the US through a distributor, but they come from all over the world. The apricot kernel oil could come from Tunisia, and the geranium could come from France. It's just a worldwide supply. The product line benefits from having an influence from people of Latin culture, African American culture, European culture. The multicultural aspect is something that's very important to me as a business owner, because being multicultural myself, the cosmetic industry ignored me and ignored women of many different cultures. Growing up, I couldn't find colors that suited my complexion, and I was told that my complexion was sallow and that I needed to use different types of makeup to cover it up. And so part of the vision and the mission with my line is to make sure that I have colors that suit women of all different complexions. This is a very important theme for my cosmetics.
For more information about Monave Mineral Cosmetics, call 410-534-1058 or visit on the web at www.monave.com.